This Republican pundit has a prescient message for Democrats, and I think they should heed it. Let's listen to it, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I remember where I was when I read your thread about the 1-6 committee, to wit, and I quote, "I have some bad news," wrote Rick. "After multiple calls, I have some extremely grim news. As of now, the 1-6 commission is dead already and will not enforce the subpoenas Trump wins. The 1-6 terror plot will go unexamined and unpunished. To say I'm livid is putting it mildly. This is staffed wrong, led wrong, and a gutless exercise to get back to talking about infrastructure. They're not taking the risk seriously. They're not taking the data before them seriously, and they're eager to run out the clock. Livid." So, Rick, I don't need to tell you that as soon as that went up, heads exploded, hair caught fire simultaneously, toilets started flushing counterclockwise. The Giants had a winning season. I'm just kidding about that last one. In real life,
of course,
Liz Cheney put out a statement. The committee put out a statement. So, as they say in dental school, you hit a nerve. Have you been dissuaded at all from what you wrote, or do you stand by it still?
I'm not going to be. Well, let's say this. I believe their intentions are not bad. I believe that my statement was correct. I don't believe that they're pursuing this with the degree of vigor that merits the type of targets they're talking about. We're dealing with people like Steve Bannon and Roger Stone and Ali Alexander and all these people that were all the spectrum of people on Stop the Steal. We are not at this point hearing from the committee that they're meeting regularly. They've had 3 months. They've done almost nothing. And the fact that they've got a few witnesses who are grudgingly going to kind of sort of think about sitting down with them is nothing until we hold to account people who are defying them. Unless you put Steve Bannon in the hot seat, unless you put Steve Bannon in an orange jumpsuit, strip him of his polos, put him in an orange jumpsuit and zip ties, this guy is going to run rampant. He's out the other night essentially telling his followers that Trump will be reinstated. He is one of the architects and masterminds of an insurgency in this country that needs a response more than the kind of traditional Washington, let's go slow, let's take it incrementally. This requires a set of responses and policies from Congress. I mean, they're already basically saying we're going to wait until Thanksgiving to have a vote on the House floor about referring Steve Bannon to the Justice Department. This man does damage every second he walks around in this country, and they need to pick up the pace. I want them to prove me wrong, Brian. I want them to say, hey, that Wilson was just paranoid. The people that were talking to him, they're just, they're exaggerating. But I'm not wrong. They will slow roll this thing. And Bannon and company believe, and Trump's people all believe, they can run out the clock. They can play this out until the very last dog dies, and then they won't have any accountability. Democrats must treat this as it should be treated, which is a counterterrorism investigation. They got to take this seriously. If these guys were in Al-Qaeda, they'd be having JDAMs dropped on their heads. These people were intent on overthrowing our government. You have to treat it that way. It wasn't a tourist visit.
So, Rick, I know you've spent a long time, you've written about this, you've thought about this. What is the problem? Is it that, as I like to contend, the Democrats tend to be culturally former student council presidents, and the Republicans of this era are stone cold killers?
There's a word that we can't use on polite television, but it rhymes with rat trucking. And they won't do it. They won't play the game. They won't get in here and use knives. They bring a copy of Proust to a gunfight. These people that they are running up against, like Bannon, they will put them against a wall. What they don't seem to have internalized is that people like Steve Bannon help to architect the attack on the Capitol that, by the grace of God, did not end up with congressmen being dragged from their offices and killed. Because if they'd found Nancy Pelosi, or if they'd found, frankly, even Liz Cheney, they would have killed them. You have to take this seriously. These are not people that are the old Washington. This isn't the old days of Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill sharing a beer. That is dead. It is gone. The Republican Party right now is a sole source operation dedicated to Donald Trump and Donald Trump only. Whatever electoral fantasies he has that can be translated into whatever direct action that Steve Bannon and those people come up with will be executed on. They should not think for a minute that this is over. As I like to say, an unpunished coup is a training exercise.
An unpunished coup is a training exercise. So true. Look, folks, it is true that Democrats need to get with the program. You know what these people understand? They are paper tigers. When they feel that nobody's going to push back, they have all the power, they have all the strength, and they talk big and they do all these things. You give some pushback, watch how they fiddle. We have to be strong and stop being that way about, well, things are going to work out. No, things are not going to work out. These guys are criminals and they should be treated as such. Steve Bannon, all these guys need to be locked up. And I don't mean just locked up in theory. I mean, we really need to go after them, and we should be going after them day after day after day and calling them the criminally terroristical people that they are. They're insurrectionists, they're terrorists, they are traitors. That's who they are, and they must be called out every single day, and make sure that anyone associated with them is called out with the same nomenclature. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number one, subscribe to our channel, and number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.